Hey everybody, this is the Daycare podcast, back with your two usual hosts, Nick and Mr. Nipples. And tonight our guest, Russ Curry, excuse me. Hey Mr. Russ, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
No complaints.
Excellent.
So
So,
you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Russ?
Sure. I think one of the first things that I guess about me that caught your eye was that I said that I was a self-proclaimed expat from California. I managed to escape after 27 years and found myself in the great state of Texas, or America, as we call it here. I've been in the military for the last 30 years, since June of '89. 25 of those years are active, 11 and a half in the Marine Corps, and the rest in the Army. Went to military school for a minute. Didn't commission. Rather, I decided to enlist in the Marine Corps in the infantry instead, because I was kind of a rambunctious and angry young guy, and I figured the infantry, if nothing else, would teach me what I never wanted to do again. And I enjoyed it. But my first duty station was in California. I got there in, January. Yeah, January of 1992. And it was like 74 degrees outside. And I was like, I kind of fell in love with the state. So I did everything that I could to stay there. And over the years, it just got progressively weirder and weirder. And I use the term progressively with quotes mockingly. But I enjoyed my time there until the last 4 years. And it just got really, really, really unbearable. Those last 4 years were spent in the San Francisco area. I was in the only conservative town in the Bay Area. It was this little town called Martinez, and it's a great little town, completely Republican, very, very salt of the earth kind of people. There was this huge Shell refinery that was there. They made gasoline, yet gasoline cost $4.60 when I left for some odd reason. And, it was just time to go. I just, every day I woke up angry, aside from the typical anger that most veterans have. I woke up really angry every day and just hated it. And then I was offered a job for about $27,000 less than what I was making in California. And I was like, I'll drive a bus. I'll take out the trash. I don't care. Just get me the hell out of here. And
but 27,000 less a year when you're not in California is still not bad money.
Oh, it's not bad at all. I mean, I'm pretty much a hermit anyway, and I don't do a whole lot. But money's, as I get older, money's not everything. And I was just making like $120,000 a year and like really nothing to show for it other than taxes. And I was just like, I gotta go. So putting California in the rear view, I threw away half my stuff and packed up the car. Got screwed over by a moving company. That's another story. But once I crossed the state line, I pulled over and was just like flipping California the bird. People were honking and waving. I was like, right? So it was a great experience. And then my girlfriend moved out with me, so I did it again. I flew back and then told her basically, hey, remember how I said we were leaving at 2 in the morning? She's like, well, yeah. I was like, yeah, change of plans. Screw that. We're leaving now. Pack your shit. We're out. Because I just did not want to spend any time at all in California. So again, across the state line, swept the California the bird. People were waving and honking their horns and flashing their lights, and it was a great experience for the second time.
I spent a few hours in California, and that's all I ever want to be there. So there's a layover.
A friend of mine who's a Border Patrol agent, he moved to Texas a few years ago. Now he's moved back to California for 3 years. And he's like, most people say that you can go to hell, like, because Texas is hot as hell. He's like, but you can go to hell. Me, I'm going to Texas. I'm like, hell yeah.
I miss Texas.
When I first got here, the first thing that I did was go to the, whatever it is, the insurance commission or whatever, where you get your license plates. And it was a Monday morning, and I was checking into my unit, and I bailed, went and got my plates. I was in and out in 22 minutes. In the parking lot, took off my California plates and threw them in the back of the car, drove to this place called Nardis Gun Club, and told the guy, who was a old retired Texas Ranger / retired Marine, hard as woodpecker lips. And, I told him I wanted to join the gun club. So, I went to the paperwork process, and he sees my California driver's license. I was like, look, don't hold it against me. I escaped, the day that I got here was my Juneteenth, and he laughed. And then I held up my California plates, and I said, I want to join, but on one condition. You got to let me shoot the shit out of these first. And he puts down a box of 45 caliber ammunition, a Texas flag, and he's like, welcome home, son. And I was like, God bless Texas.
We've actually got an admin that lives down in Texas, so he.
And I kept all of my guns were. I had a friend who is a sheriff on the California side of Tahoe, but he lives on the Nevada side of Tahoe, and he's had my guns for almost 5 years. So when I left, I went and got my guns, and he had them for so long. He's also a gunsmith. He put some hardware on them, and I was like, when the hell did I buy an EOTech sight? I don't even remember that. Like, is this my gun? It was like reuniting with my long lost children.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, free hardware.
I mean, I remember buying it since I saw it. I was like, but when I saw the guns for the first time in like almost 5 years, I had it was different hand grips, different, new barrel. I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
Well, he played with it.
Well, when I bought them before California enacted even more draconian gun laws. I mean, to make a gun California legal is like sacrilegious. It was like, this thing looked gay. The Minutemen wouldn't even shoot this thing. So that's pretty much me. I've been reborn on July 22nd when I got to Texas. People here that are, there's Austin, which is Austin weird, and then all of the major metropolitan areas for the most part lean left now or completely blue. And I toyed with the idea that it's still in the back of my head of running for office in Texas, because over my dead body does Texas turn blue, because if Texas falls, so goes the country.
Yep.
But a person said to me in a bar, well, you weren't born in Texas, you're not a Texan. I was like, I may not have been born here, but I was born to be a Texan. And if you lean left, you're not a Texan.
Yeah. Well, you gotta think. Originally, there were no original Texans, so Texas is the land of immigrants. Yep. Texas is the land of yeah. Yeah, I lived down in San Antonio for 9 months.
That's where I am now.
God, I love it down there. There's a group called RWB. They do a lot of biking down there.
Yeah.
You need to join up with them. We had a guest on the show a long time ago his name is Gilbert Eduarte. He's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And that man, he's an amazing man. The guy's got stories out the wazoo. His mom can cook like nobody else. She makes the best fucking tacos you will ever have in your life. His brother is I swear he has no soul. His hair is so red, he has no soul. And but Gil is the best guy you could ever ask to talk to, and he rides bike and he does triathlons and he has a great family, and just hook up with RWB down there and it'd be a good way to get back into the community.
All right, excellent. I got to say, my first full weekend here. So the first week, I picked the place that I live in. I'm going to be moving as soon as my lease is expired. I'm going to move. Not a bad area, but I definitely I was looking for soul food, and every place was closed, and not just closed like for the day, but closed for good. So I got pissed off. I was like, God damn it, screw it, Siri, where's P.F. Chang's? And it took me to Alamo Heights, and like literally I crossed the tracks. So I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to live here. I love this place. But I've got so many friends from the Marine Corps. Like the last fight that I got into 30 years ago, that dude retired as an Air Force 06. He lives here. I saw him for drinks. And then a friend of mine from OIF-3, he got out of the Army as a Special Forces major. But he's like, hey, I'm going to go to my buddy's ranch or his house this weekend. You want to go? I'm like, yeah, sure. It's my first full weekend in Texas. Why not? It was Jared Taylor's ranch, and Matt Best was there. And I'm like, holy hell, I'm in fucking Texas now. Holy shit, this is awesome. And, it's like, Jared asked me, are you cool? And I'm like, what? He's like, are you cool? I'm like, I don't know how to answer that question, dude. I'm like almost twice your age. I don't know how cool I can be. But if it comes to drinking whiskey with you guys, no, man, I'm not that cool.
Well, I'm 38 and Gil is 15, 16 years older than me, so.
I'm 48 on Sunday, 48 on Sunday.
All right. You'll be in good company. Yeah, Gil's still doing triathlons, and he's either 12 or 15 years older than me. So
that gives me hope.
Yeah,
because my warranty's in the expiration stage right now.
no, he'll get you back in shape, man. He's that guy that he just makes you want to do stuff. In fact, a few years ago, he biked from one coast. Literally, he had his tire in the water in Virginia, and he biked to. Do you remember what city it was? Nipples. He did the truffle shuffle there. What was the name of it?
I completely forgot.
It's a city that's in the Goonies.
That was so long ago.
It's a city from the Goonies. I don't remember what the name of it is.
Okay.
I have no
But he
idea.
did the truffle shuffle. Yeah, he did the truffle shuffle there. And he rode across the country and did it in just about a month.
Damn, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I had a dad around in Illinois.
He said the Appalachian Mountains and the Rockies kicked his ass. So
that's awesome.
He got chased by a bison in Yellowstone.
Because wildlife doesn't give a single fuck when you're that far into the boonies.
Nope. But yeah, that's he's good people to hook up with. We got a guy down in that area, that one of our admin, like fucker. He's a car guy. He's actually putting together a race car with our logo on it. He's down in that area. So yeah, just hit up the page and get with Nick Fucker. I'm sure you guys could have a few drinks. He's younger than me, but he served an OIF.
Excellent. So will do.
So we gotta ask.
Yeah.
Is it true the stories that we're hearing about people just relieving themselves in the streets of California?
Yes, it is. It's unbelievable. Words don't even describe it. I mean, because San Francisco in and of itself could be an incredible city. It is a beautiful city, but it's just because they keep electing people based on what feels good, and then like the ramifications of that, like they don't know what to do, because the people that they elect, well, they talk a great game. They say things that are awesome. They make you feel good, unless you're a logical and rational person. I mean, I was at the Marines Memorial Club on the Marine Corps birthday in 2017, and to me, that's like the only bastion of common fucking sense in that entire city. And it's just weird that, there was all these Marines that were there in dress blues, and, old Marines, former Marines, new Marines, and it's just surrounded by lunacy. People do drugs. I remember the first time that I took my ex-wife down there, it was for Valentine's Day, and this was when the TV show The Wire was on the air, and we walked around a corner, and I noticed the dude immediately. He was peddling drugs. He was the guy that you give him a little code that you want to buy drugs, and he nods to another guy. You give that guy the money, then the guy at the end of the street gives you the drugs. And my wife was like, "What are they doing? Like, shut up! Do you want to get murder, death, killed in San Francisco? Mind your own business. That's what we're doing."
Murder, death, killed with 3 seashells. Oh shit! So you live in San Antonio. Have you found Cherry Street yet?
I have not. I've been here since July and dove headfirst into work. So it's work, jiu-jitsu, and the gun club. And my girlfriend and I took our dog to the dog park, and that was the furthest out that we've actually gotten. I've gone to Austin a couple of times, but I've not explored the city. Well, although I did get lost downtown and drove past the Alamo.
Stay away from Cherry Street.
Right. Good to know.
You'll get mugged, shot, or accused of buying a prostitute.
Okay.
And you can get herpes just driving through the neighborhood. So
I think the disease is now space AIDS.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It's only a few blocks from Fort Sam.
Okay, all right.
Have you had the pleasure of Taco Cabana yet?
To who? Oh, Taco Cabana. Yes.
Oh God, I love the Pink Palace.
Yes, and it's so ironic that it's pink. They knew what they were doing.
Palace. Yes, I love the Pink Palace. Their barbacoa is amazing.
I am digging most things Texas except for the drivers.
There's good drivers and there's bad drivers. San Antonio's got bad drivers. Once you get out of San Antonio, you get around the smaller towns and the missions and stuff, you start getting, You get the farm country.
I have not been in a car accident in 30 years, and within the first month and a half I was in Texas, I got sideswiped.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when people are on their phones and people are doing other things and getting roadhead and
And I wasn't even mad. I was like, whatever. But he was driving an old farm truck. It was like a 2005 Chevy C1500, and I could tell where his car hit mine because it cleaned out the dirt, and that was it. And my bumper's hanging off. I was like, man, I got to get a truck.
Yeah,
like a post-apocalypse truck with all kinds of shit on it.
There's a reason they drive those trucks that you don't need a damn computer to fix.
Exactly. I about lost my mind today because my iPhone wouldn't connect to the Bluetooth, and I'm like, first world problems.
Yep. Yeah. What you need is one of those old farm trucks with the cassette player in it. So you get one of those attachments, you stick it in the thing, and then you stick it in your cassette player, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I broke like 3 of those.
I still have cassettes. I found them when I was moving out here. I was like, wow, I wonder if these are even any good anymore.
Magnetic strip is probably shot.
That's a damn shame. Great mixtapes.
Yeah.
So I was in I went to a graduation at UC Berkeley, the School of Psychology.
Oh God.
And I told myself, you know what? I've never been to UC Berkeley, and I know that there's a large veterans community on UC Berkeley. So walking around, trying to find where we were going to go for the graduation, I was like, keep an open mind. You know, it's their accomplishment. Just don't be a dick. And looking at the program for the graduation, there's no valedictorian because apparently grades are racist and part of the patriarchy. Yep. So they had a student speaker, and this kid was Hispanic, and I'm like, whatever, man, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And he gets up there and he's like, hi, my name is Ramon, blah 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 blah. I'm not an illegal, I'm not a rapist, and I'm not a drug dealer. I'm like, that's it. I'm fucking closed-minded again. Fuck this guy. Fuck this school. I'm out of here. Oh, shit. And at the reception, I mean, I had on a veteran pin, and at the table with one of the graduates, and just listening to everyone, just the vitriol about the orange man. I'm like, he lives 3,000 miles away. His day-to-day doesn't impact your day-to-day. You're giving him space in your head, and he wins every time because he doesn't give a fuck what you think. And they're like, oh, you can't possibly support him. And I'm like, well, I'm a soldier, and he's the president, so yeah, I kind of do. And like, how could you? I was like, well, it's easy. Just like the last guy. For 8 years, I endured that fucktard, so, he's the president. And I never talked bad about President Obama when he was president because I'm a soldier. And now that he's Mr. Obama, fuck that guy. And they're like, you couldn't have voted for him. I'm like, I'll tell you what. On November 9th, I woke up at 3 a.m. I went to bed watching Rick and Morty because, I wasn't going to watch the news. And I went to bed drunk. I woke up, I had to piss. And I thought to myself, well, we survived Carter. We survived Obama. We'll survive Clinton. I don't know how, but we'll survive it. And then I turned on the TV and saw that he won. And like Jack Nicholson's Joker, I started laughing hysterically. And my ops sergeant at the time was a special forces guy. He took a knee in an Intel battalion as a Seaburn dude. And I called him. I was like, get the boys together. We're going to have lunch on Haight-Ashbury tomorrow. Just pick the place and we're going to go. And we went, 5 of us in uniform. And we were walking around seeing adult human beings in groups huddling and crying and wailing. And I'm like, this can't be real. Am I being punked right now? Because what the fuck? And they were like, just like, they thought that we were going to round them up and put them on trains for fucking Auschwitz. And I'm like, God, lighten the fuck up. Jesus.
If you got any pictures or videos, send them to us. I got memes to make.
I will see if Sergeant O has, because I know he took a picture of the woman at the restaurant. So let's just call her. Let's just picture the typical person that says, "Not my president." That's what she looked like. So she's slamming the napkins on the table, and she's pouring water aggressively. If you could possibly do that, she did it. And I was like, "Have we done something wrong?" She's like, I just can't believe that you'd vote for him. I'm like, you're assuming a whole lot based on how we look. And I think there's a word for that, but for the life of me, I can't remember it. And so she says some other shit. And I was like, your first mistake is assuming that any of us voted for either candidate, because I voted for Eisenhower like I have in the last 5 elections of my life. And she's like, Eisenhower? And I'm like, yeah, Dwight David Eisenhower. Supreme Allied Commander, World War II, ran for president before Kennedy. And she's like, he's dead. I'm like, yeah, I fucking know. I have a master's degree in history. I'm well aware of that. However, I didn't like Donald, and there's no way in fuck I was going to vote for Hillary Clinton. I was like, but given your reaction, I think I'm going to vote for fucking Donald next time. But I voted for Eisenhower my entire adult life just because I thought it was funny and I was being clever. But, being in California, voting for anybody other than the California pick is pointless, so I always wrote in Eisenhower.
Well,
you can always act of civil disobedience.
You could always vote for Rob Zombie or Harambe.
Yeah, you could have voted for Harambe.
He got like 7,000 votes.
That man actually did quite well. Or in North Carolina, we had D's nuts on the ballot for a while.
I remember that.
He snuck on, which was hilarious. I wish D's nuts won in North Carolina.
In 2000, Rob Zombie got over 10,000 votes for president.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'd give him a shot. Fuck it, why not?
I'm gonna have everyone on my page write me in next year. I'm gonna see if I can get a good ballot.
Just so you know,
so
we are officially endorsing Cobra Commander.
Yes.
So
that's awesome. So when she finally took our order, she was just being I would call it hyper aggressive, passive aggressive. And
yeah.
She spews out, typical San Francisco talking points. And I'm like, yeah, I think that we'd like ham sandwiches and a couple pitchers of beer. And she's like, excuse me? I was like, ham sandwiches and 2 pitchers of beer. She's like, that's not what I said. I'm like, I know, but what you said is so stupid that I don't have enough single-syllable words to respond in kind. So ham and beer. She's like, this is a vegan restaurant. I'm like, oh, fuck.
No shit.
Yeah, San Francisco is
ham and beer?
Out of control. So we ended up getting some kind of non-GMO, Belgian ale thing, and we ate potato chips. And we were just I don't know. I mean, I am in no way whatsoever comparing American soldiers to Nazis. But this must be what the Germans felt like sitting in Paris in 1939. Because everyone was just fucking directing all kinds of hatred at us, like we were the bad guys. And people were like, well, the military should have a coup. I'm like, we didn't have a coup in the last 8 years. There's no chance in hell we're ever going to have a coup with this guy.
The man that wouldn't give a pay raise, there's definitely not going to be a coup now.
Right? Jesus. And it's just, so my last foray into San Francisco, my sister was going to come visit me, and she was going to land at SFO. And I was like, what time's your flight land? She said 7:10. And I was like, well, take an Uber. And she's like, why? And she got really mad at me. And I'm like, well, I have to leave work. I'm 44 miles away from the airport. I'd have to leave work at 4:00 to get to you in time. There's just no way in hell that I'm going to pay money to cross that bridge to go to a city that I despise. So she finally gets the Uber and she realizes, holy shit, you're right. I'm like, sister, if you lived in San Francisco, I would never visit you. Fuck that place. And I used to work in San Francisco. I worked right at the National Guard Armory, right by the zoo. And every day that I would cross the Golden Gate Bridge, I would we want that 10.0 earthquake, but not right now. Not right now. Not while I'm on the bridge. Yeah. And then I thought, fuck it. And it's just an awful, awful place. I mean, it's beautiful. Golden Gate Park is absolutely beautiful. And as a social experiment, I kind of want to be a writer when I grow up post-military life. So as a social experiment, I was driving for Uber and Lyft for a while, and I would drive in the city because I hate the city. And I would meet some really interesting people in my car. And of course, I'm as an intel guy, I'm a chameleon. I'm whatever room that I'm in. And, I was talking so much shit about the president that I was actually believing what I was saying for a second. I was like, holy shit. All right. But there was one woman who got in the car, and she's total Orange County Republican. And I had this blog when I was in Iraq, and she recognized me from my blog. She was totally mean mugging me the whole time. And I'm like, fuck, she doesn't like black people. Get out of the car. Fuck, I don't know. What's your problem? And she's like, she goes, are you in the military? I'm like, well, yeah. She's like, have you been to Iraq? I'm like, that's a stupid question. We all have been to Iraq, except for those assholes who haven't. And she's like, did you have a blog? I'm like, I did. And she's like, you're Russ Curry. I'm like, holy shit. That's weird and random. Am I about to get fucking greased in my car? Holy shit. And we had this great conversation, and she gave me a huge tip, and she's like, why are you driving in San Francisco? I'm like, it's for material. I basically meet somebody weird, and when I'm done with the ride, I park, I take notes, and I make them a character for later reference, for later usage in a project as yet to be determined.
So if you ever do decide to write said book, There's an amazing guy. In fact, you were listening to his podcast earlier.
Yes.
Derwin, and he owns Divided by Zero Books. Hit him up.
Okay.
He is amazing. He lets his authors do what they need to do whatever they want to do, and the man is just outstanding. Divided by Zero
That
Books.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
That podcast today, I was listening to it at work, and I was laughing because, like, when you guys asked him about the Epstein-Rosen bridge, he's like, I don't know what that is. I Googled that shit. I'm like, wow, I learned something today. I grew as a person.
Well, do you want to know where I learned about that? Comic books.
Excellent.
Yep. Stanley taught me that shit. He may have been a communist, but he taught me something.
As soon as you guys mentioned that today, I Googled that shit at work. And, like, people came to my office like, what are you working on? And I was like, science. And they're like, oh, okay. Because, I'm MI. They don't know what the hell I do.
Yeah.
And my call sign is Russ Spooky Curry. And it's been that way since I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps when General B.B. Knudsen came in to talk and asked for his two spooks, the S2 actual, Ernest King, another black Marine, and I, a black Marine, both raised our hands slowly, and the whole talk got quiet. And he's like, I didn't. I was like, give me a coin, sir. Because, spooky is spooky. It's what they call MI guys. But he said spook, which is also a racial term back in the day. And the call sign just stuck ever since then. I was spooky. I would have preferred Spear Chucker, like from the original MASH, but the call sign spooky stuck. One of those random things that happens in the military. We're like, yes, you must write that shit down.
So before we transition over to East California, we gotta stick with the tradition because I'm hoping you got to Derwin's section where he told us the most embarrassing story we have ever been told on the show.
No, I did not.
He shut down an entire division of the U.S. Army.
Oh, yes, because he said he had the
swine flu.
Yeah, swine flu. Yeah.
We have a tradition on the
show.
show.
That shit was hilarious.
We have a tradition on the show. Our guest got us tell an embarrassing story.
Shit,
that they either part of or witnessed while they were in the service.
Jesus. The only thing that comes to mind right now is a port call in Hong Kong before it turned over to the Chinese. And, I think it was like 5,000 Marines and sailors, and we'd been bottled up on the ship since tandem thrust in Australia. And Australia. It's not really embarrassing, but it's just this long line of me making people uncomfortable. I wasn't embarrassed. But the guy who it happened to didn't think of it was going to happen to him. I mean, will that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So there is this, he's retired now, but I've seen this, he was a Navy SEAL. His name was Darren Anderson. And I ran into that guy every 5 to 7 years throughout the last 22 years until I saw him at my last unit in San Francisco in the California Guard before he retired. So I ran into him once when he was in Buds. And there was a bar called Gator Gardens. It was an enlisted club. And I was going to this a scout swimmer course, and the SEAL instructors took us out the night before it started and got us trashed. Like they had 40-ounce beers for $2, and at the time I weighed like 100 pounds, and I got destroyed drunk. And they thought it was funny until we had to run the next day. I was throwing up in the ocean, drinking seawater, getting heavier and sinking. The SEALs are like, "We're gonna get in trouble." So they pulled me out of the water, put me in bed, gave me IVs, and said, "Shut the fuck up, don't say shit." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So, like a good Marine, that night when I woke up and the IV was drained, I was like, "I'm gonna go get beer. Fuck this." And I went back to Gator Gardens, and I was walking past the dining facility and see this Buds recruit, and he's falling asleep with the oar and the big orange life vest on, and I caught him, and I was like, "Relax, dude, you're almost done." Never thought I'd see that guy again. So, flash forward to Australia, 1993. The ship pulls into port. And, they give us the warning call. Look, white guys, Australian women love black guys. So you redneck motherfuckers, just keep that shit in check and deal with it. So the town of Fremantle threw us this massive party. And I was like, okay, cool. So, the next day, Marines are showing up, no tie, no ribbons, no EGAs. It's all gone. They gave it all away. And the stories about women throwing rocks and tennis balls on the deck of the ship with their phone numbers, totally true. It was like the Super Bowl of liberty was Australia. Everyone wanted to go to Australia, and everyone was really, really good before we got to Australia so that nobody would get stuck with duty. I mean, I think I spent $500 American paying a guy to take my duty the last night we were there, so I didn't have to stay on the ship. So first night, they throw us this party, and there was this redhead named Deanna Gabavic. On a scale of 1 to 10, she was like a 50, like way outside of my food chain. Like I was ignoring her completely because there's no way in hell I have a chance with this woman. So my buddy's like, hey, dude, she's checking you out. I'm like, no, she's not. He's like, dude, she's totally checking you out. I'm like, no, she's not. He's like, dude, I bet you $200 she totally wants to be with you. I'm like, I'll take your money. So I walk over there, and as I'm walking up, she's smiling. And I just looked at her, and I was like, what the fuck are you looking at, you fucking cunt? And she throws her drink in my face, and she screams at me, and I walk back, covered in beer. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, I told you she didn't like me. So he pays up. And about an hour and a half later, I go back over there, and I say, mea culpa, funny story. Please just hear me out. So I tell her the story, and Australians have a great sense of humor. She thought it was hilarious. So she invites me to sit down, and I bought more drinks. And I look at my buddy. I'm like, who knew? And he's like, you motherfucker. So the next night, I meet her at this bar, and I go to the bathroom, and I come back, and there's this, and it's the same thing. We're in uniform, town throwing us another party. It's like one big party, and they're throwing us another party. And I go to the bathroom, and I come back, and there's this dude pawing all over her, and he's sitting in my seat. And, the room is full of Australian civilians, and a lot of them are older that remember World War II, and mostly Marines and sailors, and with a smattering of Aussie civilians. And like, excuse me, sir, that's my seat. And he says, fuck off, Yank. And I was like, excuse me, sir, that's my seat, and that's my beer. And he says, fuck off, Yank, again. So I tap him on the shoulder, and I was like, say it to my face. And this dude turns around off the stool, stands up, and he just keeps standing up. And I'm like, oh, shit. The old TV show Doctor Who that was on, before the new series, he looked like Tom Baker, but really furry. And he was like 6'4", and I'm 5'5", and I'm like, holy shit, man. So I push off the guy, and it doesn't do anything. He doesn't even lean back, and he shoves me, and I go back at least 2 or 3 feet. And then we're staring at each other, and no one's really paying attention to this little drama unfolding. And I smiled at him, and he looked at me, and he kind of like cocked his head like Michael Myers, like, what the fuck? And I screamed, who are you calling nigger? In this bar full of Marines and sailors. And it got quiet. And everyone, because, in Australia, it's Aborigine, that's the bad word. But, Americans know the word nigger, that's a bad word. And even if the guy's a redneck, well, I'm one of his, so only I call him that shit, boy. So everyone just swarms this guy. And I smiled at him, and I was like, give me your wallet. So this poor guy pulls out his wallet, and I open it up. I take all the money, and I say, now fuck off. And he goes sidling past this Navy guy, and it turned out it's Darren Anderson. And he's standing there. I'm like, I know you. He's like, I know you. Holy shit. I'm like, small fucking world. So I have this guy's money in my hand, and he's gone now. He sidles away, and they let him go. They're giving him dirty looks, and I throw the money in the bar. I was like, drinks are on me, boys. And Darren holds up his arms, like 12 feet apart. And he's like, you got big balls. And I stretched them out all the way. I was like, bigger, son, bigger. And the date goes, were you scared? I'm like, no, I'm a Marine. Reality is, if that guy would have hit me in the face, I'd have been unconscious before I hit the ground. That's the reality. Or dead. But to her, you Yanks are crazy. I'm like, yeah, that shit's just crazy. But I used that same line again in San Francisco on Pier 39 with my sister. Do you want to impeach President Trump? And I was like, for what? And the guy's like, being typically liberally aggressive because he thinks he's got an ear that he can bend. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. He's the president of the United States. It's never going to work. So he starts getting not getting in my face, but, he starts getting a little agitated and, animated. And I look at him. He's a skinny soy boy with a fucking scarf on and a stupid beanie cap and fucking Piva sandals. And it's Pier 39 in San Francisco. And I was like, who are you calling nigger? And everyone stopped and looked at this guy, and the look on his face was like, you didn't see that coming, did you, son? Run, Forrest, run. So this poor guy who thinks that he's totally safe in the liberal capital of the world just got outed as a potential racist. So everyone's like pulling out their phones, and I was like, I ruined this fucking day.
Absolutely.
And he dropped his clipboard.
Bamboozled that man.
And my sister's like, why do you do that? I'm like, because it fucking amuses me.
Do you know what's really funny,
and
Nichols?
I'm an asshole.
I know it's not him, but you know who he just described? Fucking Andrew Pasanto. The beanie, super skinny, you
Oh my
know.
God, yeah.
Holy shit. If you don't know who Andrew Pasanto is, he's the Navy spouse guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen his posts, but he's always like, there's a Navy spouse. We serve too.
So in San Francisco, there's a store called Triple Out Design. You familiar with their product line?
No.
Not at all.
They make, like, I'm wearing a pair of their pants right now. They make really solid and durable gear and kit and clothing. It's really good. And everyone in the store is a veteran. But it's in the heart of San Francisco. And I'm like, you should move your store to, like, I don't know, America. And I'm like, everything in the store is 100% American. I'm like, but you're in San Francisco. It's just gross.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
move to
guys have seen
Texas.
that. Exactly. I mean, there was billboards in California before the last election, advertising for businesses to move to Texas. And then I saw when I got here, don't California my Texas, or California too late.
Yeah.
Texas is still great. Vote Republican. And, a few weeks ago, a friend of mine sent me this, it wasn't a meme, but it was a quote from, Trey Parker, Matt Stone from the South Park guys.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite TV shows to this date. But Stone said, I hate conservatives. And so, of course, when he says in the audience, people were clapping. He's like, but I really fucking hate liberals. Yeah.
Well, both of us are, Mr. Nipples and myself, we're kind of in the middle somewhere there. We think everybody should be able to smoke their weed while owning the firearms.
I'm down to
Yes.
the bottom right of the whole chart. I'm a constitutionalist, so I
Yeah.
don't think the government should be doing anything that's basically beyond the Constitution. So basically, just defending us with the military, and that's about it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's pretty close to where I am. That's yeah. Yeah.
I'm a devout centrist. The T-shirt, "My rights don't end where your feelings begin." I totally love that. I love that. But when I would go jogging in San Francisco, or on the rare occasion that I would actually go out into the city, I would wear a Che Guevara T-shirt, or a Feel the Burn, or I'm with her, kind of like on The Walking Dead when they wear zombie guts to walk around.
Yep.
I'm going to be unmolested that way if I just blend into these fucking morons. And there's a fair amount of conservatives in San Francisco. I worked right by the zoo, and I would go jogging along on the shoreline, and I would see Marine Corps flags every once in a while. I would see military flags, or even just American flags, which I thought was kind of weird for the area. But if you take away L.A., San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, San Diego, parts of San Diego, I mean, California is Republican. It's a red state if those population centers didn't exist.
Okay, but the Marine Corps is kind of gay, so
Yeah, I also see a lot of LGBT flags around.
Uh,
But after having been there for so long, I don't care. I just don't care. Just leave me the fuck alone. But sometimes it's just completely over the top, and I get it. They weren't able to express themselves and be who they were. I totally get that. I was the aide de camp for the Adjutant General of California, Dave Baldwin. And when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed, General Baldwin was like, hey, anyone that was kicked out or anyone that was denied enlistment, go and talk to them. I'm like, that's good strategy. That's good policy. And that's what he should do, because they're Americans, and if they want to serve, just do your fucking job. That's all we ask. Just do your job and do your duty. That's it, period.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about your sexuality. Don't let it interfere with your work. Don't be a deviant, and don't be a criminal, period.
Yeah. I actually served with some amazing guys that I later found out were gay. I had no idea. They kept to themselves, But
there was a guy when I was in the Marine Corps. His name was Clint Jackson, and he was a systems guy. Dude was brilliant with computers, but he was gay, like with a capital G-A-Y, and everyone knew it, and nobody fucking cared. You know why? Because he was good at his fucking job. And he was fun to hang out with when we would drink, because he was just like, you like that girl? I'll go talk to her. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. He was a great wingman, because you never were in any danger of him taking her from you.
Well, we're on the topic.
Best wingman and icebreaker.
Well, we're on the topic.
Yeah.
I want to say congratulations to Sosa, a guy I served with. He just got married to his longtime boyfriend. They just got married in New York, and Gutty Grantham went out for the wedding. He was the best man. So, congratulations, Sosa.
That's awesome.
Cheers.
Congrats.
Yep. Real quick, let's switch gears a little bit over here to East California.
Yes.
So I hear that an independent party is saying that a lot of out-of-state people voted in this last election. What's up with that?
I don't know. We had a
I
lot
think
of that, and it's starting to come out that a few dead people voted. You know, just like every election. As soon as the votes were over, I made the joke that I can't believe my grandfather came back just to vote Democrat. But
World War I veterans for Hillary.
Yeah, pretty much.
There is actually, and I know for a fact because one of the guys that was involved in looking at some of the ballots, because they did random selections of ballots, a man that died in World War One actually voted.
Damn, he was really determined.
Apparently so.
But yeah,
I applaud his commitment to our democracy and to our republic.
Yeah, right. The moment when you're so devout to the republic, you got to come back to the dead to do your civil duties.
Yep.
Nah, the part that really got me though is they did a redistricting in January of the our like voting districts, and there's literally no way Republicans really could have won that either way. It was kind of rigged from the start. But so yeah, that was pretty messed up. But yeah, I honestly don't care who wins, except it's just that they're going after Second Amendment rights. So I'm pretty pissed off just about that because like literally the next day our governor who wore blackface, by the way, so that just shows you who they're supporting.
But he's a Democrat, right? So it's okay.
Yep, so it's okay. It's fine. And our we also elected a pedophile. That was cool. He's a Democrat as well.
I asked the question
a lot of savory
before,
characters around
as a
here.
black man, as a black guy, if I were to go as a blacker guy for Halloween, is that offensive? And if it is, should you tell me?
A blacker guy.
Like, that's the kind of question that causes liberals to fucking, like, the logic loop. They get stuck in, they can't get out of the logic loop. Like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? Well, I'm a proud black man, but I want to be blacker.
What you should do is next year for Halloween, go as, how was I going to say it? Like dress up as half a cookies and cream bar and half traditional Hershey's bar, and just see if people freak out. Like paint half your face white and the other half really black, and just see how bad people freak out.
Like the old Star Trek TV show.
Yes, exactly.
God.
Oh, so
and do it and send us a picture.
It wasn't embarrassing, but it was one of those what the fuck moments in the military. It involved Tijuana, but walking back across the border, I was with a dude, and we'll call him Hayes and Poe, and I was the designated driver. So I get in the car. I was like, "All right, boys, sound off. 1, 2, 3." I was like, "Wait, that's too many people." So I look in the back seat, and there's this dude sitting there, and Poe is half black, half white, and very, very sensitive because his mother was black, got pregnant, and the white guy left her. So he's very sensitive about his mother. And I was like, "Sound off again. 1, 2, 3." I was like, "No, that's too many fucking people. I'm the least drunk, I should say, as the DD, the least drunk." And I was like, "That's too many people." So we all look in the back seat, passenger side, and there's a dude sitting there, and he's like, "Take me to fucking UCSD." And we're like, "What the fuck? Who are you? Get out of the car." He's like, "No, take me to UCSD." So Poe says, "Look, dude, get the fuck out of the car." And dude looks right in his face and goes, "Shut up, boy." And I was like, "Oh, well, it's fucking on." So
shit.
They get out, everyone gets out of the car, they drag the guy out of the car, and Poe starts to not beat him, but smack him in the face. And then he calls him nigger. And well, that was it. And then the other guy's like, "Let me get a little bit." And like WWF, they fucking tag and they're beating the hell out of the guy. I'm like, "Okay, that's enough." And I remember they kicked him in the stomach, and he had this Reef Shark watch that goes sliding under the car. I picked it up, I checked the time, I was like, "It's time to fucking roll, boys." And this guy gets up, he's just drunk as hell. He's like, you guys are no fun. And he just kind of stumbles away. I'm like, did that just fucking happen? What the fuck? So we get in the car, and I park at a IHOP. Everyone falls asleep. I wake up, and then Brad's laughing, and I look at his hand, and it's like the size of a softball because one of the guy's teeth is stuck in his knuckle. I'm like, there's no way we're not getting in trouble for this.
Oh, shit.
There's just no way.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Young, stupid Marines.
Oh, shit.
And now you look at it like, I'm
which episode did we have Justin on?
I have no idea.
The Grenadier.
Yeah, that was it. That was the one.
You need to listen to that one for the Grenadier story.
all right.
You will.
The Grenadier
If
story
you
is pretty
thought,
wild.
if you thought that Derwin's story was funny, that one will have you pissing yourself. It is
guys,
not.
I love this podcast, and I love veteran podcasts because, like, we get our stories. I tell that same story to a group of civilians, and they're like, why would you do that? I'm like, well, why the fuck did you get in the car? Stupid fucker.
You're not going to be able to listen to that one out loud at work because he is talking about, the Grenadiers, right? Anybody ever pull that on you at the bar? Okay. Somebody pulled the Grenadier at him. But what happens after that is beyond priceless. And I
wrote it down. I mean, I think that there should be a version of, like, drunk history, but, like, drunk military history. Because just the stories that we have, like, I had a gunner who did not give a single fuck about anything in Iraq. Like, he was fearless to the point of recklessness. He goes home on leave, meets a girl, of course, and comes back, and he's the biggest fucking pussy on the battlefield. Just doesn't want to do shit. And I was on Falcon, and this guy racks back around in the Mark 19. He's got his fucking hand on the leaf, and it fucking fires the Mark 19 round, and it goes over the American part of the base, and it's headed toward the Iraqi part of the base. And the round just fucking plops into the sewage swamp. Nothing. No explosion, no nothing. And I was like, all right, let's go. That did not fucking happen. We're out of here.
Where were you at in Iraq?
I was at Fob Falcon.
No idea what that is because by the time you...
it was the near Horajeb, Saha Apartments, south of the power plant.
Okay. I was Area 50. See, when I got there, it was designated areas. That's how I was OAF 1 and 2. I was Area 51.
I was OAF 3.
Okay. I was Area 51. We took over Federal National Headquarters, Police National Headquarters.
Okay.
That part. Yeah. And
so
then...
I was with the...
Go ahead.
I was with the National Guard Battalion, and in OIF 3 were the ones that had the battalion commander KIA, Colonel William Wood.
Oh shit, yeah.
So we were the battered bastards of Baghdad. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. But if we would have caught Bin Laden on the base, if we would have caught the guy, it would have been 3rd Infantry catches Osama bin Laden. But if we would have let him go, National Guard unit loses the catch of the century. I mean, we just couldn't win. All of our pictures were hanging up inside the TOC. And, you walk in the morning, and you see your picture there, like, okay, I didn't die and I didn't get fired. I'm good.
Yeah. While you mentioned that, we have a memorial wall on the page. I don't know. Well, obviously you've been to the page. That's where we hooked up at. On the memorial wall, go ahead. Anyone that you can add their name to the wall. Okay. We are starting a project. Anyone that's listening, willing to jump in, we are looking for volunteers. We are going to start a project. We're going to start with Pearl Harbor and then do Battle of Midway. And we're going to put all those guys that we lost down. And then we are going to move on to World War II. Then we're going to go back to World War I and then move out, branch both directions from there. We need to get everyone on that wall. And here's the humdinger. Mr. Nipples and I have to read these names every year on our podcast for Memorial Day. Just think about how many names that is.
We're gonna have to start in January. We'll start recording bits.
Yeah, but it's not just those that died in combat. It's those that have died since. Veterans.
One thing we should do, though, I was actually thinking about this today. I was working on a spreadsheet at work. I was like, damn, we should probably take those names and put them in a spreadsheet and alphabetize it, and then like number it. So like when people are like, oh, what part is this person's name at? We could like timestamp like the alphabet. So like names that start with like alpha will be 1 minute through 5 minutes. Names that
See, I was
start
thinking
with
about.
Bravo will
I
be
was thinking
like
we. I was
6
thinking we were
through
going to do
10.
squadrons and ships and units and do it by dates. So like 1942, and then we do like the dive bombing squadron.
We could do it by dates. I think alphabetical would be good. Alphabetical or dates, I think would be the best way to do it.
Because that way, if you know the squadron that they're in,
Yeah.
and then that way we can put the whole squadron together. Because there was entire squadrons of fighters from the Navy that disappeared in Midway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you should know this. You're in the
Oh
Navy.
yeah. I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm talking
And
about like the list overall, not just Midway.
well, no,
Like
no,
when
yeah.
we did the video.
There was. Well, we read it off the wall as we post it, and like the guys in Arizona, we're going to list all those names together. The guys that were on, certain subs. The guys that were 101st. We lost 80% of 101st on D-Day.
Yeah.
That's a
So
huge project, man. I mean, the amount of death that occurred in World War II is unfathomable today.
the amount of death that happened in World War One completely
Oh, yeah.
trumps
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened in World War Two.
So one was
When I
like
was
an
in military
actual
school,
meat grinder.
And the
when I was
amount
in
of
military
deaths.
school, World War I was just like, it's kind of boring. But as you get older, and you start reading about it, a good friend of mine, Lieutenant Colonel Desiree Simois, was the National Guard representative for the 100-year anniversary of World War I, and she got to take her son to France, and she met relatives of Patton, relatives of Sergeant York, and this little boy got to go through all those battlefields, Belleau Wood, La Somme. He got to go through all that history, and it's just lost. Like, it's just not taught anymore. Like that bullshit on Facebook where millennials are triggered by World War II. It's like, well, who else was triggered by World War II? The 120 million people that died from 1932 to 46. Those people were triggered by World War
They
II.
were a little bit upset.
Exactly.
And you know what war? This is something that most kids don't know nowadays. Do you know what war we lost the most Americans in?
Civil War.
Civil War?
Yeah. We lost more Americans in the Civil War than any other war.
When I was in military school, we read Gods and Generals. And when I was done reading it, I was like, shit. I'm like, what? I was like, I think I'm a Confederate. They're like, how in the fuck can you say that? I'm like, just shut the fuck up. I think I am. Shit.
Yeah, well,
Date's right.
I get it. I get it. They had some solid points. They had some shitty points, but they had some solid points.
So, yeah, slavery notwithstanding.
Yeah. Outside of that, they had some pretty solid points. But
I used to have a picture of Jeb Stewart and Nathan Bedford Forrest in my office. But I had Rommel and Patton, of course, and Merrill from Merrill's from Marauders. Like, you can't have pictures of Nazis and Confederates up. I'm like, Erwin Rommel was a man of honor, and the Confederates, they were still Americans. And Nathan Bedford Forrest, aside from starting the Klan, he was a brilliant cavalryman. It's military history.
he was also a Democrat.
Yeah. I had to do this project once because I showed up late for a meeting, and my regimental commander made me do this project for Black History Month. I'm like, I don't know if I'm offended or not. That's kind of fucking racist. And so what I did was Black military history, and I kept it, starting from the first American to die in the Revolutionary War, Crispus Attucks, which I have this little vignette where I'm imagining Crispus Attucks walking home from whatever 7-Eleven was back then with a 40-ounce, and there's some white folks arguing, and he just happens to walk in the middle, and he gets fucking shot. I'm like, man, motherfucker couldn't catch a break. But, going forward to all of the firsts in Black military history, like Colonel Charles Young, the guy that they were trying to boot out, he rode across the fucking country on a horse to D.C. to prove that he was still a cavalryman. Just great shit. The Tuskegee Airmen, my grandfather was a crew chief of the Tuskegee Airmen. The first naval officers that were Black. I mean, just the amount of shit that they had to fucking go through just to wear a uniform and fight for the country. And this shit's just lost on history. Like, they just don't teach it.
What about the Buffalo? What about the Buffalo Soldiers?
Buffalo Soldiers, hell yeah. There's a picture of T-Rex with some Black soldiers, Black cavalrymen, in his war. I mean, it's like there's just so much that's not taught. But I look at my daughter's history books now. I'm like, this is rubbish.
That's one thing, though. Roosevelt never held race against his troops.
Roosevelt was
never
the most Chad fucking president we've ever had.
That man was
fucking continues the speech.
Yeah.
Death himself was scared of that man. Real quick, I need to put on a PSA because it has to do with tonight's contest. Just because you're a turn lane does not mean you don't have to have a fucking blinker on. All right, let's continue. So, but yeah, Roosevelt was he was a fucking genius. The man was a badass. That man fought in wars. He lost an election and decided, hey, you know what? We're just going to go down to Cuba here and fight there, and let's go to the Philippines and fight there. I mean,
yeah, in the era of the so-called toxic masculinity, I think that we need more men like that. We need more men that are giants.
He hired a general to fight in the Philippines against the Muslims that literally went and laced all the bullets and blades with pig's blood. And every time they got done with battle, they slaughtered pigs and covered all the bodies with pig's blood.
Damn.
Psychological warfare. The shit worked.
It did. The Muslim pirates and the Muslims left the Philippines for over 70 years.
I was talking to someone today about the Barbary pirates and how we dealt with that. But and then because I'm a historian, we hear so much about, oh, this was so wrong and we stole the land from the Indians. I'm like, you cannot judge the actions of the past with the lens of today. That is disingenuous and it's fucking stupid.
For future reference, according to Smithsonian, okay? Now, remember, the Smithsonian, according to everybody, no matter which side of the fence you're on, is considered the expert and the supreme knowledge on the history of America, right?
Yeah.
According to the Smithsonian, there were people here on this continent that were of European descent before the Native Americans crossed the Bering Strait.
Yeah, they didn't find Viking artifacts and weird shit like that.
Well, it predated Viking. It was early European. It was the same artifacts that they found in the Andes or the Alps. The Alps. Yeah, the Alps. It was the same kind of artifacts that they found in the Alps, and it was the same things that they found there. And they found the same artifacts here. They found the same DNA structure of the bones, and when what we now call natives crossed the Bering Strait, they either bred them out or slaughtered them all for the land.
It's the past. Shit happens. It's not pretty, but it happened. Can't change it.
Technically, we didn't take the land from them. We just took back what was ours.
Oh,
I'm not saying the way they did it was right. It's just,
but that's how things were done back then. It doesn't make it right.
That took land.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, there was 11 years of peace in Europe during his reign. It hasn't happened since. But he wasn't nice. He wasn't a nice guy. He was more like the standards of the day, but he wasn't a nice guy.
Oh, according to the standards of the day, he was a very nice guy compared to, I don't know, Emperor
Caligula.
Thank you. Oh God, that man was.
That man was wild.
I just remembered an embarrassing story, and it involves me. I'm the one who was embarrassed.
Real quick, what were you going to say, Nibbles?
Oh, I said that man was wild as hell.
Oh, okay.
He could throw a party.
Oh yeah.
He burned Rome to the ground.
Just because he could.
Yep.
So I remembered a very embarrassing story about me, and it totally involves me, and I was a fucking moron. I was an aide to General William Wade II, and we were in D.C., and we were supposed to go to Reagan International Airport. For some reason, he wanted to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and leave by 5 for a 9:30 flight. Fine, you're the boss, whatever. So, D.C. is all concrete, glass, and steel. In the basement of the hotel, turn the GPS on, plug in Reagan International Airport. Everything is fine. Leave the hotel at 5:05 a.m., and we're driving. And the GPS keeps rerouting. And he's like, you know where you're going? Yes, sir. The GPS says go this way. We're going this way, sir. He's like, okay. should have known something was wrong when we passed by the Watergate building. That's always a fucking omen. So we passed by the Watergate. He's like, do you know where you're going? Yes, sir. The GPS is pointing us in this direction. Again, we keep getting rerouted because of the glass, steel, and concrete. Long story short, driving for 90 minutes, passed by a sign that says, "Welcome to Maryland." I went to an entirely different state. And I love General Bill Wade. He's like, him is like me looking in the mirror. We are so much alike. But he went Linda Blair, fucking exorcist apoplectic. Like losing. I thought about jumping out of the car. I was like, fuck it, I'm out. Bye. And so he tells me to pull over at this gas station, and there's some dude from, like, I don't know, Sudan or Nigeria or some shit. I ask him for directions, and he's blah, 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 blah. I get back in the car. He's like, what did he say? I'm like, I forgot. I'm sorry, sir, I forgot. And he yelled at me for 40 minutes till we got back to the airport, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and his wife is just like, oh, sweetie. And, we get to the airport. He's like, just drop us the fuck off and drop the car off. I was like, yeah, you think? So I drop him off at the gate, or at the departures, take his bags out, and I get back in the car, and I headed back toward the rental car return. I pulled over and had to throw up. I was like, dude, you're a combat veteran, and this makes you fucking lose your shit? And then I was so embarrassed. And then we get back to the headquarters the following Tuesday for the morning meeting, and they put up on the display screen for the headquarters briefing a map of Reagan International Airport. I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, just so you know.
Like, ugh.
General Shinseki was with us, was assigned to us when we went to Iraq, okay? And when we took over the Federated National Headquarters, you know how badass those fuckers were. Well, we took over Federated National Headquarters, and Quentin, who's been on the show, went over to one of the buildings there that the Air Force had been nice enough to hit, and it partially collapsed. There was this giant, hand-painted, priceless portrait of Saddam Hussein laying on the ground out back in this gilded gold frame. And this fucker dropped trowel and shit right on Saddam's face. And that is when General Shinseki comes around the corner. And what does he do? He gives him a fucking coin for doing it.
Damn.
See, in Iraq, that's fine. In San Francisco, that's not fine.
No, I get it, but it was... Man.
That's awesome.
All right.
Shit
I told this story.
Never understand.
I told this story when Tony Grattan was on the show. And by the way, this man is a legend. He was an E7. Or, no, I think he retired as an E8. But this man is... He's one of those leaders that just being around him makes you want to do better. I was a dirtbag. I was a racist piece of shit when I joined the service. And this man was one of those guys that just made me a better person, just being around him. Him and Staff Sergeant Kelly, they completely changed who I was. And Sergeant Moyer. These guys completely changed who I was. But anyhow, I went off on a tangent. I forgot what I was saying.
Are you drinking beer?
Oh, no. No. I haven't had a drink in years. I remember. Shit. It's gone.
We're having an elderly moment here on the Daycare podcast.
We're gonna jump to the other topic, and we'll come back to this. So there's this woman that is an NCO in the Marine Corps.
Sergeant Willis.
Sergeant Willis, who decided that it was a good idea to not only sell pictures of herself in compromising situations, but sell videos, pornographic videos of herself. And she is now upset because all of Camp Pendleton has been airdropping, not charging each other for this, which would make it illegal, airdropping her videos and pictures to each other. Just FYI, I myself, Nick, not Daycare Podcast, will be dropping a 4chan link on Daycare to her pictures. Just so you know.
If you're going to do that, drop it in the comments of a post.
Yes, I will. Daycare has nothing to do with it. It is me, myself, and I, Nick. Okay? Nick Fuku. All right. So, yes, it is Fuku. All right. So, anyhow, uh, she is now screaming for Uncle Sam to step in and stop this from happening. Granted, it is wrong for these guys to harass her. The sexual harassment is wrong. They shouldn't be harassing her anyway. That is wrong. But how is she going to call for Uncle Sam to step in when she herself has violated the UCMJ in ways much worse than being in possession of lewd material? You both are NCOs. I'd like your opinions on this.
I just think she's mad because she got caught and she can't be a side thought anymore.
Ah,
I think that's why she's
I'd like
mad.
to quote the great Squints Polydorus from The Sandlot. If she was thinking, she wouldn't have thought that.
I think the problem is she's not getting paid for it.
I mean, that's why she's
And now
mad,
she's
obviously.
publicly, and she's embarrassed now because it's out there, and she's not going to be able to walk anywhere on Camp Pendleton without Joe looking at her, or Snuffy looking at her and smiling or saying something stupid because he's a 19-year-old man.
Thing is, she's a reservist out of Louisiana that's only in Pendleton for a training mission.
All right. Well, she's Pendleton famous right now. That's unfortunate as hell. It really is. But she should have just... the internet is forever.
Yeah?
Like, for years and years and years before I went to Iraq, if you would have Googled my name and the word torture, it would have come up with, like, an interview questionnaire that I did at a college in Dana Point, California, where I talked about how the Nazis found zero value in torture. They did it for the sake of doing it. Like, they knew that the information they got was bullshit. But for the longest time, my name was associated with Nazis and torture. So, shit, now there's other stuff, but this young lady decided to do this. It's out there forever.
Just so you know, since you got a master's in history, if you ever want to talk to somebody that has lived in Europe and seen some of the sites and talked to the old guys that lived through the war and drank beers with them, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. Because I've seen the sites and it's an amazing thing. So that's the best way you learn Germany is you get drunk, you get lost, you walk into a bar, and you say you're an American, and you usually get a German that is old as fuck come up to you and tell you he wants to have a drink and talk about World War II.
So I used to be a part of this historical reenactment, and my friend Mike's dad discovered that there was actually Jamaicans that fought alongside the Brits in the 22nd Independent Paracorps, and we did this reenactment, and there was this old German dude dressed in a Waffen-SS smock, and he had the white hair and the piercing blue eyes, and he's like, 22nd Independent Paracorps, you were good, we were better. I'm like, who are you with? He's like, Waffen-SS. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna go now.
Have you ever heard of Save-On for Gießen?
No.
All right, real quick. A U.S. pilot was shot down over Gießen, Germany. And the SS had a base, a post, that we weren't supposed to know about just outside of Gießen, Germany. And, in fact, we couldn't even pick it up on pictures because they had built them in cones. And they looked like trees. Well, they drugged this pilot out in the street and they shot him in the head. So word got back, and every pilot, whether it be American or British, no matter what bombing run they did anywhere within 300 miles of Gießen, Germany, they saved one round, one munition, and they dropped it on Gießen. 5% of Gießen survived the war. 3% of that was the SS buildings.
Jesus. Man, what's so... I am not easily offended. Fuck with my kid, I'm offended. But, I've been called all kinds of names in the last 30 years. And I am not easily offended. But the way that the word Nazi is thrown around in this country right now, it just pisses me off. I'm like, they were the most evil motherfuckers in the history of the modern fucking world. And to call an American president a Nazi it's offensive in the extreme.
I don't know. Ho Chi Minh was pretty fucking bad.
So my ex-wife is an Israeli Jew. My daughter, according to the Germans, is a Nazi.
Oh God!
And I've been accused of being a Nazi. I'm black. I mean, Idi Amin was about as close as we got.
Yes, the fabled black Nazis.
Yes, you would have been executed.
Exactly. Although at that graduation at Berkeley, when they were talking, I was like, I think that I'm the closest thing to a Nazi you're going to encounter. An argument with my former mother-in-law, she was being obtuse and I was deployed, and it was an email argument, and it was stupid. But when I went home on leave, and they were both Israeli. Mother and dad were both Israeli. They were both Israeli military, and they fought in the Yom Kippur War. And mom was just riding my ass. And I was like, in a past life, I was an SS officer. Being black and married to a Jew is my penance. She speaks English, Spanish, Hebrew, and Yiddish, and she couldn't form a sentence with those 4 languages that she spoke because she was so incensed. And I was like, I win.
Oh, we had an hour and 11 minutes, by the way.
All right, real quick. I have a friend that's, I've got friends on both sides of the fence and everywhere in between. Smoke Grantham leans towards the liberal side, and I've got friends that are beyond, on the far right liberals, on the far right crazy side of the right wing side. And, I'm here in the middle, and I've got a friend named Deb that's down in Florida. Bless her heart. She adopted my dog when I could no longer take care of him. He lived another 5 years. Anyhow, she kept me up to date with him, everything. We still talk. And she's Jewish, and she tried to tell me that, don't get me wrong, what happened in Germany was awful. I will never downplay it. But I made a post how, it was not the worst genocide to ever happen. And she got up and, her pennies in a bunch, and I had to lay out the numbers. And the fact that China has more than quadrupled it in one single massacre is, and they don't teach people this shit anymore. It's ridiculous.
And that does such a disservice to those that died.
And the problem is, if we don't teach it, it's going to happen again.
Oh, easily. It's in the works right now to happen again.
Well, that's just it. With the Patriots, it won't happen here, but it's going to happen in Europe.
Oh, yeah. It's already happening in Europe. They just don't know it yet.
And I got a child in Europe. And that's what scares the shit out of me.
Fuck.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen her in years because her mom's not in the picture, and I can't bring her home without her mom's permission, and her mom's a strung-out druggie that nobody can find. But without her written permission, the German government won't let me bring her home. So what do? You leave her with her grandmother.
Yeah.
So, who, by the way, is a liberal that's, crazy and thinks I'm nuts. So, anyhow, any other topics we need to cover tonight besides the fact that we now have California and East California, and we've got a crybaby that decided to sell herself and thinks that it is illegal to share pictures when you pay for a product? Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
Not that I can think of.
We've got a tradition here. We do a safety briefing and suicide awareness. So anything you want to put in on the weekend safety briefing?
Me?
Yeah.
Wear your reflective belt. It saves lives.
There you go.
Of course.
It'll stop a fucking semi if it's coming at you. At least that's what Uncle Sam tells you. My favorite one that there's a whole story behind this. It's actually in a couple of the podcasts. In fact, I think it's on the Grenadier one. Do not let a prostitute wrap you in saran wrap and shit on your chest. Don't do it. Don't. Use your blinker. I don't care if you're in a turn lane. Use your fucking blinker. Do not stop in a crosswalk. That's not okay. You're a fucking asshole if you cross a stop walk. I do, well, you probably don't know this, but I walk a lot. In fact, a couple months ago, I did 125 miles in a month. So that gives you an idea how much I walk. And I hate these fucking people that stop on crosswalks and they get mad at me when I like fucking kick their tires or I yell at them. They're like, "What'd I do?" They're here. You're an asshole.
Over
That's
the
what you
line.
did. Oh no, that's just over the line. There's like no crosswalk. I want to like walk over the hood, but I can't because then I'm in trouble because they're an asshole. It's not Japan where I can walk through their car and they're in trouble.
You just gotta slide over
Right.
there. Just Dukes of Hazard 'em. Hit him
In
with the
my
old
state,
Dukes
Oh,
of Hazard.
what was his name? TJ Hooker. Slide over the hood.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in my state, that's damaging their property, and I can get arrested for it.
Ah, that's dumb.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Um. Let's see here. Anything else? Anything else? Don't drink and drive.
Call your
All
brothers.
right. Yeah, I had another guy reach out. He's having a hard time, and that's the thing. Reach out. If you're going through a hard time, reach out.
And always-
Seriously.
and if you're a
Always.
supervisor or a leader and you've got someone who calls you your phone rings at 2 a.m, you know it's never good. But as a leader and a brother, you have an obligation to answer the phone.
Yep.
Our friend Patrick said it best. Those guys that we lost on range would give anything to be back. So if you can't find any other reason to live today, just live today to honor them.
Yes.
Because if you can honor your brother today, you can find a reason to be here tomorrow.
Alrighty, well, I think that wraps it up quite nicely.
Yeah. Just so you know, Patrick's still here. He hasn't passed away yet. Clinton has not got a hold of him yet.
Yeah, he's still holding on in there.
Yep. All right. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. It's been great. Thank you very much.
Yep. You have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Yep.